That was a press conference at the New South Wales Rural Fire Service with Gary Warboys, the New South Wales Deputy Police Commissioner, and also Rob Rogers, the New South Wales Rural Fire Service Deputy Commissioner, where he mentioned about today being reconnecting with people in those isolated regions. And we're also looking at weather conditions really intensifying once again as we approach the weekend. So let's take a look at the situation now. We have confirmation 7 people have died in New South Wales during the flare-up this week. 63-year-old Robert Solway and his 29-year-old son Patrick were killed defending their family dairy farm near Cobargo. Patrick's mother discovered the men's bodies when she returned to the burnt-out property yesterday morning. Patrick's wife Renee is pregnant with their second child, and she wrote on Facebook about her husband, "I love you now, I love you still, I always have and I always will. I will see you again, Patrick, my best friend." The body of a third man killed in the South Coast fires was located in a burnt-out car on a road off the Princes Highway at Yata Yata, about 6 kilometres west of Lake Conjola. And authorities have confirmed a further 3 people have died in the South Coast bushfire emergency. It takes the death toll to 7 after volunteer firefighter Samuel McPaul was killed after a fire truck was lifted and rolled by a fire tornado near the Victorian border on Monday. Grave concerns remain for an occupant of a burnt-out home at Lake Conjola. There are currently no emergency fire warnings in New South Wales, but a picture of devastation is certainly becoming clear along the south coast. It's ahead of dangerous conditions, as we just mentioned, returning on Saturday. Now, the Rural Fire Service has confirmed at least 176 homes have been lost, but expecting that number to rise as the teams continue to assess the damage. Conjola Park, Mooloolah Bay and Rosedale, they are some of the communities that have been worst hit. Now, the small town of Cobargo has been one of the worst hit, with our camera capturing some scenes of the devastation there today. Let's go live now to our reporter Trudy McIntosh, who spent the morning touring these fire-ravaged towns in the Bega Valley. Trudy, what is it like at the moment?
Well, we're here, as you say, in the town of Bega. This is almost as close as you can get to some of those towns here in the Bega Valley that have been so hard hit by these bushfires that have absolutely ravaged through many parts of this town. We spent the morning touring some of these villages that have been the hardest hit, the first of that being Cobargo. It's about 30 minutes by car north here of Bega. The scenes of devastation as you arrived in this town were simply breathtaking. The main street up through the Princess Highway normally would be teeming with cars at this time of the year, but shop after shop on both sides of this main street was simply wiped out. You saw things like the phone box absolutely melted given the heat of the blaze. Some of these shops completely unrecognisable given the fire that has rushed through this town. And it's a community really in mourning now. As you say, those 2 men, the father and son, were just around 10 kilometres out of Cobargo when a fire hit where they were trying to defend their property. It's just been such a hard time for many members of that community. And just about 10 minutes further south of that is the town of Quama. We spent the morning there as well. That's just a much smaller village of people who've been living there for quite some time, many of these residents. Some of them we met today staying to defend their properties. They say at no time did they think of leaving, despite the fact that they heard an absolute roar coming across the mountains that was this wall of fire coming towards their houses. They described to me what was a scene, fire coming from one side that they were able to protect their property, but then seeing the fire rip through the other side of the street, destroying homes and even the church that is on the end of Quama towards the bush. They said, one of the men telling me, that once they saw the church go up in flames, they simply believed that this bushfire was going to rip through the town and take them with it. It's been a confronting day here for so many people. We're in the town of Bega, and for the last 2 or 3 hours there has been a non-stop stream of cars coming from places like Tathra behind me. It's a very popular holiday community at this time of year. The Brown Mountain, which is one of the main ways out of the south coast up towards Cooma, it would get you back to Canberra and then to Sydney. That has now been reopened as of yesterday, and people were told today it is safe to go up that mountain, and certainly it looks like thousands of cars taking that opportunity today before conditions worsen to get out of the south coast, Joni.
Yeah, such a devastating start to the new year. And as you mentioned, we are going to see those weather conditions just accelerate with the hotter temperatures and the stronger northerly winds on Saturday. Trudy McIntosh, appreciate the update. We'll touch base with you again. And there are reports a body has been located in the East Gippsland Firegrounds in Victoria. At a property in Buchan, the Herald Sun is reporting a 67-year-old man was discovered by his nephew at his burnt-out home. Authorities did confirm a short time ago that 4 people were still unaccounted for, but it's not known if he is one of those people. Conditions have eased in the region, meaning authorities have entered the firegrounds and are assessing the damage, with more updates expected later today. Over 500,000 hectares were burnt out by fires in the state's east, with more than 50 structures destroyed in East Gippsland alone. Here's Andrea Crothers with the latest.
Authorities simply haven't been able to access all areas where those 4 people were last seen.
Oh, look, I'm not going to become a commentator on whether people are in a position to be able to survive 2 or 3 days. At the moment, you've got patchy comms, so power's off, mobile phones are out in lots of different places. These are isolated communities, many of them. They're very small communities, and some of the people who are missing, we simply don't know what has happened to them. We can't therefore speculate other than to say we do have grave fears for their safety.
Visiting Bairnsdale, Daniel Andrews described the unique set of circumstances where people are stuck in the middle of fire zones. Some left and can't get back, and the danger is far from over. The Premier says there's also a real possibility more people could be missing. The eastern section of the Princes Highway, the main road in and out of the region, is also severely damaged. It all makes firefighting efforts extra challenging. For the first time, they're actually using helicopters to conduct a fiery shift change. At Malakuta in the state's far east, where 4,000 people were stranded yesterday, the thick smoke has blocked aircraft from getting those people out. The HMAS Choules has left Sydney to move some by sea. It can carry 1,000 people and will progressively take them out on a needs basis.
We're exploring all our options in relation to Malakuta, and certainly to look at evacuating some people from Malakuta by sea is an option that we're seriously considering at the moment. We have thousands of people in isolated communities at the moment. I don't have an exact number, but there's thousands. Again, we talk about 4,000 at Malakuta, but there would be thousands of people.
Fires have now been burning in Victoria for 6 weeks. It's taking its toll on firefighters.
People feel distressed that they haven't been able to save everything, so that is definitely part of the stress that they're feeling, but also just the intensity of that fire and that sense of responsibility of it hitting those communities is weighing very heavily on those firefighters.
More than 500,000 hectares of Victoria has been burnt this bushfire season. We now know more than 50 structures have been destroyed in the last few days alone. But once assessment teams make their way through, that number is expected to be far higher.
Authorities are preparing for conditions to worsen over the weekend. For a detailed look at the fire forecast, here's meteorologist Alison Osborne.
A brief reprieve from dangerous fire weather across the southeast over the next 2 days. What we will see, though, from Saturday is another area of hot northwesterly winds. What that will do is it will drive up temperatures across those fire grounds, and it will be very dry as well. Now, northwesterly winds on Saturday, they will drive those temperatures in the red across the Greater Hunter, the Shoalhaven, the Sydney region, all the way down to the south coast, above 40 degrees in places like the ACT and other parts of the southern ranges as well. There will be strong northeasterly winds along the coast, and winds will be fresh to strong, more than enough to generate large increases in fire activity, especially across the southern ranges. Now, taking a look at the winds and precipitation, there will be another southerly change making its way along the New South Wales coast on Saturday into Sunday. Unfortunately, it will be another dry change. We're not expecting much in the way of rain at all. There may even be the chance of more thunderstorms, which will start new fires. Subsequently, the fire dangers on Friday, they will be very high across the southern ranges and the ACT, also the Greater Hunter encounter. Now from Saturday, we will see those fire dangers peak. This is a preliminary forecast. The Gippsland region will be under very high, a large area of the southeast once more under severe. But if those forecast temperatures, especially across the Shoalhaven and the Greater Sydney region, increase, we may see extreme fire dangers, which means fires will quickly become uncontrollable. There'll be a large risk of ember attack many kilometres ahead of main fire fronts.
Communities across Tasmania have spent the last 24 hours assessing the damage after a day of extreme fire danger. The Tasmanian Fire Service confirmed at least one home has been destroyed in a bushfire in the Upper Valley, Derwent Valley region. Authorities say more properties could be lost. 6 fires are currently burning at Watch and Act levels across the state. Challenging terrain and strong winds are hampering crew efforts to construct containment lines.